politics of fear and hate are wrong. We love you and politics of compassion
But America,
and love are right.
we are not going back.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Raise Red Living Blue podcast. I'm your host, Jason Will, and I am joined today by Miss Hazel Floyd. Hazel, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Hazel is running for District 38 and is among this group of very young people to not only run for office, but get elected for office. Let's go ahead and just speak power to that.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing. I just love the youth that is being represented. And it's not only on this upcoming election cycle, it's not only the Democratic candidates. We've got a Republican candidate here in town, Case Dixon, who's 25.
Okay.
We've got Landon Britton. He's a Democratic candidate in Huntsville. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet Landon yet, but
I have not.
he's like about to turn 26. But you're just a little bit younger than that?
Just a little bit.
And what is that age number?
Oh, I'm 21.
You're 21.
Yes, I am. I'm 21.
And I wanted just to touch on your age for a second because you've got a very positive spin when it comes to age. You know, age is, it's really, I think, in a lot of industries, it's kind of fading, but it used to be like the first question people wanted to know, and it could be disqualifying, you know, especially in my business. Like they'll say like, how long have you had your real estate license? You know, how old are you? How long? If you're younger, you're probably renting, so you don't own, and so there's strike one. You know, if you've only been in the business, if you're young, you haven't been in the business very long, they can already tell that, and that's strike two. But I think really in this kind of modern era that we're in right now, it's all about kind of what's in here and what's in here.
Yes.
And age is just a number.
I agree. I think, too, a lot of the times we end up forgetting that we were once that same age and that we wouldn't have wanted ourselves treated that way when we were that young. So I try to give everybody grace. And normally I think my age is probably one of the number one questions I get asked. So, I'm not afraid of it. It is who I am. It is what I am.
Yeah.
I can't hide it, so.
And it's just cool that you're so young and so energized and just willing to put yourself out there in a really big way.
Yes.
You know, this
A
is
lot
huge.
of people want help, so if I've got to step up and do it, I'm not afraid to.
Yeah, and then I would say this: you are, you're not beholden to anybody. Like you don't owe anybody anything. You're not coming into this.
Nope. I've got no obligations to organizations. Only people I'm obligated to are the citizens I'm running for.
Yeah. So let's talk about just real quick and to let everybody know, what does District 38, what does that include in terms of cities?
Of course. So it includes Valley, Lynette, Beulah, Salem, Lafayette, a little bit of Opelika, a little bit of Smith Station, and then you've got your smaller areas in there. So Hughley, Casita, a little bit of Lake Harding, different places like that.
Yeah. So is there a good mix of like people from different backgrounds and different, economical, kind of levels?
I definitely think so. Recently, I learned about some of our more wealthier constituents in Chambers County and where they reside. So I definitely think we have some of the higher brackets, but I believe all the cities are rural in my district. So we're all pretty on the same level in terms of financial and where we are there.
Yeah. Well, I know we're going to get to your issues, but I know one of the big ones is for people to come out of school and have a job.
Yes. As I stated, I'm 21. So most of the people I've interacted with while I was in school, they were my age or older. And when I came home and when I started getting my campaign strategy together, I met up with a bunch of my old classmates. And the number one thing I heard, which broke my heart, was, I'm looking for a job. Some of them went to college, some of them didn't go to college, but they're all looking for a job.
Yeah, regardless.
And it broke my heart because I went to college, and when you go to college, you have this expectation that I'm going to find a job, I'm going to make this amount of money, and I'm going to do better in life because I went to college. But then you start living on your own when you move home, and the reality hits you of, I'm in this small town. They might not have the niche field that I'm going into. What am I supposed to do now? So that's something I'm very passionate about.
Well, I was at a Dakari Lariat event last night, and he was talking about how the state had invested in him like 15 plus years. He, public school, then he received scholarship money. I think he was full ride
Yes.
to Alabama, right?
Okay.
So don't get too excited.
I know. I saw when you walked in, I was like, but it's my area and my people, so I understand.
Yeah, it is your area and your people. But he said, it was sad because the state had made this huge investment in him and there was no jobs for him. He had to leave the state. And I think that's an issue that at least a lot of Democratic candidates are focused on. Not only having jobs here for people that want to stay here, where their people are, where their family and friends are, because we also have a beautiful state.
We do. We love. I decided before I even went to college that I didn't want to leave, or if I do leave, it would be when I retire and after that. So I want to stay in Alabama as long as I can.
Yeah, but we also want to attract people here, and there's a lot of negative press about Alabama.
Yes.
I mean, we just had the Alabama Solution, the documentary come out. We've got prominent elected people that are already in elected positions saying things that I think scare people away in terms of like civil rights, human rights. So those things need to get rectified. And, the youth are, in terms of not being beholden to anybody, I tend to find the younger you are, the more accepting you are of people.
I've noticed that a lot of the times when I go to talk with a younger Republican or Republican my age, we can come and meet and find policies that we agree on, and then they would be more likely to vote for me because I'm in their age range and we have things in common. So I do find that the openness is a little bit opener with my generation. But that being said, I don't want to hold the older generation to some high standard that we were raised differently, we're born in a different generation, so.
That's true. And, a lot of the, for lack of a better word, toxicity is, I think, hereditary. Like it's passed down from generations to generations in terms of, closed-minded, views on a lot of things that are controversial or we deem controversial in the state of Alabama, but like in a lot of other countries, it's just healthcare.
Yeah.
Like abortion's not controversial in like G7 countries. It's healthcare, but we just politicize everything. That's kind of a unique way that you framed it, because I'm all about right now is purging people that are elderly, that are in politics.
What do you mean by purging?
I want them to retire and enjoy life.
I see. Yeah.
Get some hobbies. Get out of public service. If you look old, you sound old, you feel old, you need to get out. And I'm saying everybody over 70. I mean, we're talking about term limits. Of course, that's a way to get to that goal. But you just brought up like this interesting reason to have more youthful energy in state, local, federal politics, because they're just more likely to work together. They can find more things in common.
I feel like we look at the world a little bit differently.
Yeah. And plus, all these old people are making policies for old people. We need some policies by young people for young people.
Right. I'm hesitant to say that, I want to purge all of our older generation. I feel like a lot of the times we feel this certain way about these older people and that they're older people, they're in politics and things, but yet they continue to get elected. So I don't know. I feel like this is more of a population issue. Like we as a people keep voting on these people. So I don't know. I don't want to blame too hard on them. But at the same time, I agree where you're coming from. We do need some younger voices in there. It would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, especially like, I'm on the left, but like I think Pelosi should have retired a while ago. I think Schumer should have retired a long time ago. I think Mitch McConnell should have retired a long time ago. I had my stepdad serve for decades in the state house, and I was just always riding him. I was like, man, don't you want to like just relax? Because the schedule is nonstop.
Yeah, it is. It's nonstop.
It's just, from whether you're campaigning after you get elected, it's just this group, this group, this group, this meeting, this luncheon, this lunch. I mean, it's just a very full schedule. Sadly, he worked up until the day that he passed. And so, I wish he was doing what he loved. But a lot of times they get, I think, just kind of addicted to being needed, to the attention. I don't know. So I'm really encouraged by the youth that is, just showing up and answering the call. What were some of those motivating factors that got you so fired up? You're like, I'm going to run for office at 21.
Well, I mean, I went to school for political science, so I knew that I wanted to be in politics. It was more or less a matter of, should I jump on somebody else's campaign? Or when this position was brought to me, should I just go full force into my own? And I think what it really was is, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified for this position. I know this area well. I went to college to learn more about how government works because while I was in my small town, I didn't have a whole lot of experience or hands-on experience with my elected officials or with how politics and things work. So after I gained the knowledge, I thought, okay, I'm uniquely qualified for this. Of course I should run. Why should I put this burden on somebody else and then volunteer to help when I want to be in politics in the end anyway?
True.
So I just decided to do it. I had full support. Everybody I talked to, not a single person told me I shouldn't go for it when I was contemplating whether to take this job.
Even your parents?
No, my dad was like, I see no downside to this. Why would you not? I think my age was probably what held me back in the beginning was I'm 21. How is this going to affect my future? But then after I decided I'm going to do this, I realized I'm 21. I can bounce back. Like, this is just the beginning for me. I have so much room to grow and so much ahead of me. So.
Well, who knows where it'll lead? I mean, what doors it'll open.
Correct. I've already met so many people outside of just my district that have been like, please come speak to our youth about this, or please come to this program. We want younger generations to meet you and see you. And that is already a blessing. Like, I couldn't even imagine that this is where I would be today. So
yeah, I mean, well, I feel like in addition to some of the older generations kind of passing the torch a little more consistently than they're doing right now, I'm also like a big proponent of women like running the world.
Well, I mean, that sounds nice. I like that, but I don't know. That's cool. That's a unique ideal on that.
Yeah, it's, just women, I just think are better leaders. They tend to come with less baggage. We know they're more mature earlier in age, and that just kind of carries through in life. I mean, they're the nurturers, and they've just got their priorities in line.
Yeah.
It's, and of course you can find, I think, bad politicians of any gender, any age.
Yes, of course.
But
any side, they're all over. You can't miss them.
For the most part, though, I'm like, let's get some more.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it is time for some women. I mean, I don't know what our balance is exactly at this moment, but there's definitely more men in Alabama politics, and we're overwhelmingly Republican. So if we can get more women in, I'm hoping we can see some more changes that affect, because I believe we're about 50-50 in the state. So
yeah,
we need more representation.
Absolutely. Well, I just saw something on your website.
Oh, okay.
It says Espanol. Is that just you have somebody on the campaign?
No, okay. No, I can talk about that. So a lot of the people in my district, in one of my cities specifically, are of Latin American heritage. So when I went to college, and they require you to do a elective, either be foreign language or computer science, I decided that I wanted to try Spanish. Since I knew, this is before I had this is when I was in college, so way before I knew I was ever going to run. I said that I have people in my area who speak Spanish, family, friends who speak Spanish when I go to their house. Why would I not pick Spanish as my language? So when I did those classes at school, and then I continue on, and anytime I go visit them, I do a little bit of Spanish. So I can understand a decent amount of Spanish. I can speak a little bit of Spanish, but it's not nowhere near being bilingual. And, I just felt like it would bring me closer to those family members, or those people I consider family. So that's why I kind of picked it up a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, the Spanish portion on my link tree, I wrote a rough draft in Spanish, but I had a friend who was fluent check it for me.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so it's all about, I mean, with the theme of your campaign, is it fair to say that it's this collective?
Yeah, of course.
And, that's like what we see through your social media content, through your campaign content, the collective. Does that have any specific meaning to you?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I mentioned it earlier this week at the town hall I was at. The collective, it actually stemmed from this version of it takes a village to raise a child. That's kind of where I got the idea for the collective from. In church, I hear that all the time. At events, whenever we're bringing a young person into society, we say everybody has to put in effort to get, a good result or the result that we believe would be best for society. So when I made the title The Collective, I thought, well, I'm not running this campaign by myself. I'm not even running this for myself anymore. I'm running for all these other people. So we are together building the better district that we want to see. That was the thought process behind it.
So good. And it's all about diversity.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
Everybody's accepted. I have a real problem, like when I'm driving down the road and I see, you've got the church signs and they've got a Bible verse or they got a slogan for the season or whatever. And typically when I see something that says like all are welcome, I know that's not necessarily true.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
So, it's...
Well, mine is true.
Yeah.
All are quite literally welcome. I've had conversations with probably absolutely every single type of political person you can be. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, socialist, like you name it, I've talked to them. So, yeah, this is forever. I want to be the type of person that you can come to. I can hear your issue, your ailment, and I will do what I can to come up with a solution that best fits not just you, but as well as everybody else who lives in the area.
And that's important to you, right? To be somebody who listens.
Yeah. Yes. You can't get anywhere without listening to people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know any of the information I know today if I hadn't listened to somebody else or learned how to do it myself. So, yes.
Yeah. How are you? Because I'm sure maybe you hear some heavy stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I take everything with a grain of salt. And recently, someone really close to me told me, like, at the end of the day, they're still my neighbors. So even though, I mean, it'll shock me in the moment probably. And then I'll go home and I'll probably think about it for the rest of the week. But eventually, I'll just let it go. Yeah,
because the world, though, it's a dark place.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up with every kind of ism you can imagine growing up. So... I hate to say that I'm used to it, but, I've handled this before. So when you run for the campaign, the ism changes and it's more, I get more political hatred, but it's the same thing. You learn to handle it and move on with grace. Like I said, they're my neighbors and they might be confused. They might not, they don't know me. They're making assumptions. So.
And you're just bringing this light. I can feel the light.
Thank you.
The warmth of your light hitting my face. I mean, it's so refreshing.
It took years. I remember my first instance of like ever having someone say anything like racist to me. I did not handle it well at that time. But like as things go and as I learn and as I meet people, I realize that a lot of the times they're doing what they think is right. They're doing what they learned, and they won't change until they meet someone who changes them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I keep holding against them these things that they've said to me, the way that they've hurt me, and if I keep letting it weigh me down, then they'll never see my light. And whether that be, like in a religion sense or in a race sense, whatever I got to do, like, yeah, that's the way I see it.
It reinforces, I think, one of my favorite kind of mantras, to put curiosity above judgment.
Yeah.
And to really seek to understand, but to be exposed to different people. Just to clarify, what is your ethnic background?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm biracial, so I'm black and white.
Okay. So when you experience racism, what does that typically look like? Is that from an older white person? Where do you encounter that?
I think I experience racism and prejudice from all sides. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the race. It's just,
because you might not be black enough. You might not be white
enough.
enough.
And I've been mistaken for Hispanic before. So It's just, I don't get it from one specific person over the other. It's just a general ignorance of the situation.
I mean, you feel like you're dismissed or like not heard. I just saw like there's been all this, I think, news coverage and content and just a lot of discussion around the infant mortality rate in Alabama.
Yeah, yes.
And I saw these news, video clips of these women in labor. One lady got sent home. A black woman got sent home and had her baby in her car.
Yeah, I think I read that actually.
And so I'm just wondering, obviously, you're not to that stage of life yet. Obviously, that's something, you want to fight for, trying, because we've got a serious healthcare crisis.
Yes.
And to me, it's just troubling that we're in 2025 and there's such a disparity between infant mortality based on your race.
Yes.
There's such a gap in between, white women and black women.
Well, and I think that too is why our organizations, especially on like college campuses, are so important to have that support system. So I feel like if we don't have those black specific designated organizations for women to go to, they won't know the full extent of who they can rely on when things turn this way, or who can they call on when they need help and things. That's why I feel like not even just for black women, but Hispanic women, Asian women, if they don't have those outlets to go to, they'll probably end up in a worse position than they already are.
Well, it reminds me of also Dakari's situation. If he hadn't had the life experience, the educational background, and the resources as a successful person, he might be in jail today. I also mentioned Landon Britton up in Huntsville. His partner had to go to the emergency room. They were saddled with a huge bill, and they just did their homework and they just didn't give up, and they kept on and kept on and kept on. And I think what they ended up paying was a fraction of the overall bill,
Okay, cool.
just because they stayed after it.
Yes.
But if you're a person who doesn't have that experience, doesn't know
the resources,
just gets a bill, doesn't know who to call, like you said, that could end up causing them to become unhoused. Not to get too dark, but it's happening. People are creating GoFundMe pages to pay for medical bills.
Yes.
It's a problem. All right, let's get back to you and your story getting into politics. You have an interesting story about how this happened. Will you mind sharing that story with us?
Of course. So many people who know me specifically, especially me growing up, know that when I was 5, my dream job was to be the president of the United States. I thought they were the person who does the most good. They help the most people. They speak up for the little guy, and they protect us and keep us safe. So, while my sisters would be like, I'm going to be this or this, I was just, no. So my entire life, elementary school, middle school, high school, I was like, oh, I'm going to be the president. It's fine. I'll figure, I didn't worry about a career because I knew that that's what I was going to be when I grew up.
Yeah.
And, I think it's funny now because looking back, as things got older into high school, so like 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and you actually have to sit down and figure out, wait, what am I actually going to do? Because president is so far in the future, like you're 35, you're not old enough to run and all that things. So I sat and said, okay, well, how can I get to this destination, or what job would be similar to that would make me feel just as satisfied? And I remember it being my senior year, the beginning of my senior year, I sat down and I go, I'm just going to do law. I'm going to do law because they make the laws, they change the laws, they affect people. That's what I wanted to do. So my senior year, since then I've just been politics and learning and everything in between.
Yeah, so you're pre-law.
Yes, I was pre-law. I am pre-law.
And so that could, you never know. I mean, you could.
In the future, yes.
Yeah.
I loved I'm pre-law, political science, and philosophy with a concentration in jurisprudence. So most of my classes were catered towards law, legal, how things work, and of my personal choice, things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. You've got the background. You don't have the political resume that maybe one of your opponents will have, but you're bringing in this clean
but I don't
slate.
I don't even look at it as that. I feel like my political resume is a little different because I'm younger. It's not that they have we're just different, if that makes sense. So somebody asked me recently if I've ever run for an election before, and I told them, well, it depends. If you're asking for a governmental state election, no. But I've been president of so many organizations through high school, college, middle school. I've won awards for leadership. This is not something I'm new to. I've done this before. When you go to run for a president of a club, you've got to run. It's an election. So it's the same tactics of meeting people, hearing what they need, and then when you get the job, making decisions that would better improve their lives so that they vote for you again. It's the same thing. It's just on a smaller, less as important scale. So all I did was level up. I didn't, this isn't my first time, if you think about it.
And you're prone to leadership.
Correct.
That's in your DNA.
I mean, I knew when I was 5 that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know in what extent at that time, but I think deep down, I learned how to be a good person. I learned how to care for others. Community service. It's ingrained in me at this point. I've been doing it for so long. I feel like I'd be empty if I wasn't out there helping people.
Yeah. I just think that's, in my estimation, it's a more important qualification to care.
Yes. I mean, you can be nice all day, but if you don't care and actually listen to what people are telling you, your niceness is just a facade.
Well, I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but, it seems like, I don't know if it's fair to say the majority of people that run for office are doing it for maybe egotistical reasons. They want the spotlight. There's some narcissism there. They want to feel important. They want to feel like they are superior to others. I mean, there's a lot of folks in Congress. It just seems like their main goal is to build a massive following on social media.
Interesting. Now that you bring it up, that makes a lot of sense. I think back when I was deciding on, governmental things and how to run, when I decided to go in I've always had the saying that if I wanted to make improvements, I can't sit around and complain. I need to obtain enough power to actually make a difference. So even when I was younger, I never had the thought of, I just want to be the star of the show, this, that, and another. It's always been, I don't like the way this is run. I can't do anything now, but I'm going to figure out how to get there so that I can make a difference, because I'm not the only one who's suffering with that problem.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever had I have the confidence to do this. So of course I think I'm great. I think I can do this. And I think I'll be, the best fit for this position. But that's not why I'm running. Like I said, I feel like this campaign has taught me that what I'm doing is so far beyond me. I'm doing this for the collective. So,
I love it. So powerful. All right. So some of your mentors, like coming up, I know you mentioned that, you look up to AOC.
Yes.
Powerful woman.
Yeah. I mean, she started out as a bartender. And I mean, if you think about it, maybe at the time too, my very first job was Dunkin'. So I don't know. I guess that's where the correlation came in. Like I used to make drinks and she made drinks. And now we're doing what we want to do. So
you had a town hall meeting this week?
I did, yes.
Did you have to speak in front of people?
I did. It wasn't my first time. I went to the Lee County Democrats gala maybe a month or so ago, and I gave a speech there. I met with a couple of the current representatives we have in office and some past senators and representatives we have. They all come out and we gather and just socialize. So that was my first, I guess you could say, bigger speaking to people moment. But the town hall that I did this Wednesday was being hosted by someone who's running for another Congress, District 3, and he lives in my district, and he asked me to come out and speak to the people since some of them are definitely living in my district.
Yeah. I was at the Shelby County Democrats meeting last night. There was a young woman there who has been working as like a mechanic since she was like 15 years old or something. She makes $15 an hour now. Of course, worked her way up to that. But she says it's barely enough. It's barely enough. So minimum wage was a big issue for her.
Yes. Actually, I've been thinking a lot about that more specifically because I've been pushing a lot that I want my generation to be able to find jobs. But I'm also finding that, take me for example, when I started at Dunkin', I started at 9, right? Which is above minimum wage. But my friends who are in college, they're working 3 jobs at 10 an hour just to stay alive. And they don't have family support because they decided to go and get that higher education so they can hopefully make money later. So, and I think it's really sad that Alabama we don't even set our minimum wage. We just let the federal government decide.
True.
Like, we didn't even have the guts to say, let's set our minimum wage at $7.25. We can do something about that. We can, and most businesses nowadays, even small businesses, start at $9 an hour. So why are we not going ahead and saying, let's just set our minimum here? I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't see any of the current politicians that we have representing on a state and local level really championing a lot of the issues that are so important to people.
Like, and I had a conversation with somebody who said, well, you worked for 9 or 10 an hour, but that's just you're a child, right? No, I worked at Dunkin' with 30-year-olds with kids who've been living and working there for generations. Like, they worked there, their parent worked there, still making 15, and that's all they've ever been able to obtain their entire time working there. That place would not run without them, and their organization is not giving them more than that when they have put so much effort into making sure that everything runs smoothly. And Alabama can't, like, we just don't set a minimum so that they have the potential to grow, or any sort of plan that if they're in this organization, and these organizations have the money to pay them, we know they do.
Mm-hmm. We know by like how much their CEOs
Correct.
make.
And I'm not even, I want people to make more than 10 an hour, but I understand that where we're at, we have to start small and work our way up. But other states have way higher minimum wages, so I know we can get there someday. So.
Well, again, it goes back to attracting people to the state.
Yes.
I mean, we need to attract businesses.
We need
to
skilled
attract
workers.
people. Yeah, we need people to come here. We need bright minds to come here. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that I think people see. They're like, yeah, Alabama's beautiful, but I'm a woman. I don't feel necessarily safe there. Mm-hmm. Or, I don't feel like I have, enough rights in Alabama. Mm-hmm. Who knows what the case might be, but there's no current. Is there anybody in Alabama politics that has inspired you right now that you looking up to right now and going, man, she's a strong leader.
I'll say right now, Terry Sewell has been killing the game. I stay pretty much on my political pages on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll scroll around every now and then just to see what's going on, what people are talking about, because I feel we can learn a lot about our communities that way. But she popped up on my feed without me even having to look her up, and I could just see all the amazing things she was doing for our state. I met Shamari Figures, so I know he's doing good things as well. And yeah, those are probably the couple of people I look up to.
Yeah. So not so many on the Republican side?
A bunch of the Republican representatives and senators that I've met and had conversations with, it was difficult because they knew why I was talking to them, or I would come to them with a question and their response was not as open as we discussed earlier. So even if they've made good policies, the way that they treated me at the time may make me apprehensive to how I might feel about them. So I can't think of anybody right now, but I'm sure, I'm sure that there are people that are doing their best. That I just can't think of any off the top of my head at the moment.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I mean, I'm right there with you.
Well, and I know they're there. I know they're there. There are good people on all sides. It's just right now I cannot think of any. Though they haven't reached out, or they haven't reached my feed, which.
Well, I think you're going to be one of those people.
I hope so.
And I'm not just really talking about, all the state representatives and senators. What's top of mind for me is the people that are in the spotlight right now. That are getting the most media attention.
A lot of, if we're talking people that I look up to, a lot of the Republicans that I look up to would be more of my family or some of my local people that I have so much respect for. And I know they're genuinely thinking, and the policies and things that they've come up with, we've come to our stances the same way. We just are looking at it differently. They're not in politics to the scale of what our current Republican politicians are at. I mean, I hate to say it, but I wish we could see a little bit more of the Republicans that I admire get into those positions, because they care. And even if I've voted for Republicans before that I believed would do the best job. So
same. Yeah.
I don't put anybody into that box. I try not to.
Yeah, well, I think that's good, because you just have, I don't know, that aura about you. Just, that there's a level playing field that you're operating on that a lot of people probably aren't. But you are Christian,
I am.
and I'm wondering about what you see right now in terms of Christianity, politics. It seems like it's been a little weaponized.
Yes.
From my standpoint, there's different factions of Christianity. There's different ideas of.
Well, I think I'm non-denominational. So growing up, I never felt like we require you to do something to be a part of us. I know I went to church with people who are of different religions, not even Christianity. And they would come to our church because they felt like the message that we were providing was in accordance with, to a certain degree, with what they believed in. So I've always grew up in a very welcoming community. And I feel when I was younger, I don't think I realized the discrepancies or the weaponization until I got older and I start to understand things better and see what the underlying meanings are. So I don't know. I feel like it is used against people, and that I try very hard as a Christian myself to be that light, as I said earlier, and I don't want anyone to feel forced when talking to me. I'll pray for, like, I'll tell people who don't believe in any religion, like, I'm going to pray for you, and they're not upset at me for praying for them because they know that it's coming from a genuine place of heart. And they might not want me to pray for, that it's just, it's a relationship. You've got to build that trust before you can encourage people to follow the God that you follow. And like, I fully believe that God is there for you to come to your own conclusion. You need to find him on your own path. You shouldn't be swayed by other factors and sources, especially when you go to vote. Like, yes, I am a Christian and I will tell you I'm a Christian, but that should not be your only factor on why you're deciding to follow somebody, because my Christianity might be slightly different than yours, but that doesn't make me any less Christian than you. It just says that we're a little different. So
Yeah. Well, and what I think about on this topic is that people look at Democrats as evil.
yes.
I don't know if you've experienced any of this on the campaign trail.
I have. Maybe not even on the campaign trail. Back when I was in high school, I had someone tell me I was a demon spawn who was created from hell, and I was in 11th grade. Like, I didn't know anything. I was just living life at that time.
Based on your political beliefs?
Yeah. She knew I was a Democrat.
Yeah, so, and that's just something that's learned behavior from her parents. Right?
Well, I don't even know if I'd say that, because it was a very deep conversation we had. She was raised Democrat and then ended up turning Republican and had this very lengthy PowerPoint about where I originated from as a Democrat and how I'm misguided in things. And it was that's the type of persuasion I'm saying I want to stay far away from. Like I said, I'm a Christian, yes, but that's not the only, that's not the only thing. I don't want that to influence you in that way. If you're not a Christian, I understand and I respect that. We live in a country where you should be allowed to make that religious choice. Or political choice. So yeah, it was not. She was raised Democrat, turned Republican, and then somehow ended up hating Democrats. And I guess at the time, because like I said, I like to listen. So when we talked, I was purely listening out of curiosity, I think, of how did we get to this point in our life? If that makes, I was amazed.
Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way up to the highest level. I mean,
I think it fully comes from a place of hurt. A lot of the hatred I receive is just from a place of hurt. They may feel a certain way about me, or we may be talking about something and I may upset them, and that is something they know that they can feel comfortable to default to. So it's just breaking that default into something else. Like, come at me for a policy. Don't come at me because I'm black,
Yeah. I love that. I like to combat this narrative because it's not only evil, there's no way you could be patriotic and be a Democrat. There's no way you can't be radical and be a Democrat. And you know, that's a good point of this interview we're doing right now. You know, shining a light on you, like she's like totally normal.
Well, and actually,
and genuine.
I remember having a similar thought back when I was in college. I took a class, it was called National Identities, and the point of the class was that we're exploring patriotism across the United States and how we get to where we are. And we would read different authors and their viewpoint on different things. And, you know, we would read very strong conservative, and we would listen to some of those songs, and then we would suggest our own songs that we believed were patriotic, and then we would talk about them in class. And I remember hearing the general consensus then was we would play songs like maybe like Taylor Swift songs or Lana Del Rey songs that we thought were inspirational and that we thought were patriotic. And then we had some people who would do other genres of music, and the collective senses it was just about learning about other patriotisms and realizing that there is more than one way to be patriotic in this country, and your way is not the only way. You need to be open to other patriotism. Like, I mean, our founding fathers rants that we could all be patriotic. So.
And have, you know, freedom of religion.
Yes, freedom of religion or speech, you name it.
Yeah. All right, so we bunny trailed a lot there, but I want to kind of bring it back to this journey to where you found yourself. Where were you? Like were you at like a dinner party or something?
I was. So I have a family friend who moved away once she just retired and moved away to live closer to her family, and they came home for just to visit and to celebrate. And so they had a welcome, you know, like a we're here party, and I went and I met with this amazing woman who told me that this position was open. She was not from my county. She was from another county, I believe Russell County. And we just talked about politics because I hadn't just graduated, but I had graduated, and I love talking politics. I don't care who you are. That's what I do. I love to talk about it. And so I sat with the people who were very into politics. She told me I had known that my past representative had retired. I didn't know that it might be turned into a special election at that time. I don't think Kay Ivey hadn't announced it at the time, so we didn't know. There were talks that she was going to announce it, and we got to talking, and she said she would do some research and talk to some of her politicians to see if, you know, when this might be happening. And I had about a week from that conversation before Kay Ivey announced, and then I had 3 days to get everything done. So that's how that happened.
Did you, like, as this conversation's unfolding, were you like, she's dead serious? Or
yeah, no, 100%. As I'm sitting there listening to her, I'm sitting here thinking, this is really happening. This is I went to school for this, but this is happening right now. I always thought that I would run for politics when I was older.
Yeah.
Not because of my capabilities or because of my wisdom, just simply because I didn't know when an opportunity would come up. With my age, I only qualify for so many positions.
Right.
So I didn't know that this was going to happen this soon, but I'm here now and I'm in it.
Hey, fellow Blue Dots, don't forget you can find all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button, and we would love a review. Okay, now back to the episode.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are talking to Hazel Floyd, and Hazel is running for District 38. And Hazel's going to win.
Oh, yeah, yes.
District 38.
I am going to win.
I mean, just of what I know of you, just briefly being in your presence, I think if you do not get elected, then that is not the best thing for the people of your district.
Yes, I fully agree. It is the people's decision. And I knew, as I stated earlier, that I was going to run in something. And I came home with the hopes of helping my community first. Before I move to another city in Alabama, before I do anything, I want to help my people first. So if now's not the time, I can't help that. I'll move on and do other things for other places. But I want to help my community. I believe so much. They put so much into me. I would not be who I am today without my community. Of course, I want to help them. Yeah.
And I just hope enough of them see that because, it's like in my business, in real estate, I just tell like younger real estate agents that just have it in here. Like have a desire to want to help somebody. Yes. And then you're going to have all these people around you. You're going to have a team around you.
So many people. I'll share this too. Not even mentoring. Recently, I had some people come to me from a different state. They came to an event because they had heard about my election and said, we just loved you so much, we want to support you. And they're not even in my district. So that is, I feel like that is how far I have reached so far. And this is just now the beginning of my really strong campaign since the primary is over. This is just now the beginning. We've barely even begun.
You're just scratching the surface here. Yeah, that's your vibe for sure. But, you said to me, age is strength, not weakness.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
I mean that you are only going to be the age you are at once. And there are so many things in life that we never know where we're going to be the next day. We never know when our end is coming. We have to take the opportunity whenever it comes to us to go forward. If that is the mindset we have, if we have this, we will succeed, we will push forward, we will do what we want to do, we have to start somewhere. And specifically towards my campaign, I've realized, like, you are never too young to care about your country. So if you're looking at my age as a downside, I have been caring about this country that I've been living in for as long as I've been living in it. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. So why would I not do what I can to make sure today that I'm doing what I can for my future? I mean, I have little siblings. I'm going to have kids one day, and I want them to have a better world than the one I lived in. So why should I wait till I'm 25 or 30 to actually jump in the game when I can jump in now?
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. And I mean, this journey could help you figure out that you want to be a specific type of lawyer, or it could,
if that's what I want to do, yeah, this is just a stepping stone.
It could just reinforce the
I can go ahead and tell you now, I've already been reinforced. This is so validating. I love what I do so much, talking to people, meeting people, listening to stories, learning, figuring out the best solutions. Specifically policy-wise, when I hear an issue, I have to think about, is this an issue for a state? Is this a federal issue? Is this something I can help? Is this too niche? And all of that is just, I love the research part of it. I love it. I want to do this full-time. I want to be a politician full-time. Yeah,
and it just could reinforce the goal of that 5-year-old you.
Yeah,
like I want to take this thing as far as it'll go.
We'll see.
Got a long way to go there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know the odds of a Democratic presidential candidate from Alabama winning, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, and I think, and you mentioned this too, strength with age and the correlation with strength, it's an energy, right? And
a lot of the younger people I talk to when I first meet people, and I tell them, hey, my name is this, I'm running for this. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? And they go, you're running for office? And their first reaction is, I'm so honored. How did you get here? I could never do anything like that. And anytime I meet someone who says that, my first thing is, well, we're going to break that. You can do this. I'm doing this. And it's just the reminder of all this is confidence, is the confidence to do this and that you can, and keep telling yourself that you are, no matter your age, capable.
Yeah.
I love talking to the younger people, especially giving advice. I love to give advice, especially sharing the knowledge that I've learned, because I didn't learn it just to keep it bottled up to myself. I learned it to put in practice and to tell other people. So, for example, I had someone come to me recently and ask me questions on how to start up a small business that she's wanting to run. Now, I've tried starting a small business one time. Yeah. It didn't go well. We didn't go very far. But the question she asked was, I really like your cards. How do I get better cards? That's something I can easily help you with. I told her where I got them, how much I paid. I gave her advice on how much she should maybe charge, considering the other people I know in the market in our area and what they're charging. These are just little conversations, interactions that when she walks away, I hope she can go home and be like, okay, let's get into action. I can do this. I've gotten this feedback. I've gotten this motivation, this push. I can do this. That's what I want people to walk away from when they talk to me.
It's so cool. And then, there's going to be things instances where you'll just be a connector. Mm-hmm. You're like, well, let me know. This is not my forte, but I know who it is. And so that's so cool. But you are super active in the community.
Yes.
And you're just trying to get around to every event, social media on point, letting everybody know.
I want my future representative, or me, I want a representative that will be up in public. As I stated earlier, when I was growing up, I didn't have the opportunities to meet my officials. I met the resigned, or how do I phrase this? I met the retired
Yeah.
representative when I was in high school, and she bought yearbook ads for me. Like that was my interaction, and I didn't have anybody encourage me or show me what pathway to go down. I wish that I had a club that I could have talked to about politics, because presidential elections are happening. I would have loved to have talked and learned and figured all these things out, but at the time, we just didn't have anybody in the community pushing that forward. So it's, hopefully when I get in, I want people to see me in public, know that I'm here, I'm listening, I'm in this position doing what I can for you.
Well, visibility is credibility.
Yes.
And,
it's accountability too.
It is.
If I do something you don't like in this position, I want to be in public enough that you can come to me and tell me, hey, I don't understand why you did this. I don't like that you made this. You voted this way. Why did you vote this way? Well, I would have voted this way. And we can have that conversation, but we can't have that conversation if you never see me anywhere.
Right.
And I know that you guys are watching me because I'm your representative. I'm speaking for y'all. So I know you guys are watching. I just can't stand when a representative doesn't talk to their people. You only stay in one little bubble. And I've already made the dedication. When I win, I want to continue going to events. It won't be at the extreme level that I am now, but when I'm not in Montgomery or in an area in one of my cities doing something like meeting to make it better, I want to be at an event. I want to be meeting people, still interacting, especially with the younger generation. Elementary, high school, middle school, showing them, letting them meet me, talk to me, ask me questions. Because politics isn't as scary as everyone thinks it is. We just have this bad narrative.
Well, I think it's a side effect of the toxicity of the politics we have now that are really inspiring a lot of young people to get in. I just love that, somebody saw something in you in that party or that gathering.
Yes.
And was like, oh gosh, you're a recent graduate, poli-sci major, pre-law.
I've lived that area my entire life.
Yeah.
I know those people. And a lot of people have come to me and say, well, I didn't know you. Well, you didn't know me. You know me now. And I have people who have known me. They have seen me grow up. They do back me. They do support me. And they aren't necessarily politically aligned with me, but they know who I am. They know what I stand for. And they know I genuinely am going to do what I can for them at the end of the day. Yeah.
And if they don't, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if, let's say by the end of your first term, I kind of feel like if they don't know you, that's on them. Maybe they need to get out the house a little bit more, because you are so committed to being the voice or giving a voice to people that maybe feel like they haven't been heard.
Yes. I had a very deep conversation with somebody about that recently, about how he feel like he's been living in his community 20, 30, 40 years, his entire life. And he drives around and he just looks at things that he wishes he could change, but has nowhere to go to express that outlet. He said, I want to put my labor in, I want to put money in, but I don't have a think tank or that opportunity, that space, because we don't really host town halls anymore like we used to. I remember going to at least one or two when I was little with my dad. We don't do that anymore. And why not? That's how you talk to the people you're representing. So that's just something.
I can tell you why a lot of Republicans don't.
Yeah.
I mean, people are pissed.
I'm not going to be that way. The town hall that we had this past Wednesday.
Yeah, how was the tone there?
We had everybody come. He said at the beginning, or before his question and answer, the person who hosted it, that's who I'm referencing to, Mr. Lee McInnes.
Yeah.
He said before his question and answer that we've got everybody in this room, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents. They are all here. So when we ask questions, remember, we're all brothers and sisters and neighbors. Respect. They don't know. That's why they're asking. And I think that is the best way to go into any political field, is they may not know. That's why we're asking. A question doesn't necessarily lead to an automatic assumption if it's a genuine question from the heart, that is.
Yeah. Well, I think, we've talked a few times, mentioned curiosity a few times on this episode, and exposure is a word we use so redundantly on this program, because even I'm guilty of it. There's so many things I haven't seen. I feel like I've been in kind of this white privilege bubble and haven't been exposed to a lot of things. So me getting into this political arena and the capacity that I'm in is just opened my eyes to so many things. And
I want to add too, I think with that, specifically our little bubble, not even just, like your white bubble, but as a community, we are trapping ourselves if we don't go out and explore, if that makes. So I could have stayed where I was to go to college. I could have foot the bill and gone to Auburn, or I could have gone to a school out in, like I did in Tuscaloosa, where I could meet a different type of people, because they're on a whole nother level out there. They're doing their own things. They've got their own issues, their own problems. That's why I feel our representatives need to be specifically catered to what would be best beneficial for us, because that's why I like your podcast name, Raised Red, Living Blue. Like, I was raised the way you were raised. I went to church with some of the people who think differently than me. That doesn't make us we're not enemies. We're just different. We were raised together, and I just come at it looking at the situation a little differently.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that I know. Frankly, they feel like this administration is doing a good job, that 2025 has been a very positive year. And, if I hadn't made some decisions that have taken me down some different paths, I might agree with them. But it's simply not the case. Well, Robert Hunter, do you know who Robert Hunter is? So he's running for, I can't remember his district number, but he's in the Gadsden, Etowah County area. Yeah. And so we were doing this over Zoom. And something happened and Zoom kicked us off, and I just assumed that was the first segment, and then we just jumped right back on, and we're recording the second segment of his episode, but the first segment didn't save on my computer. So I was like, all right, we're going to scratch this. We're going to use that second episode as just content to just cut up into clips. But I was like, I started thinking about it, and I reached out to him via email. I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I would like to come to your community and go see some of these areas that you're talking about where people are underserved, and provide some visuals, because Robert had a free store. Okay, and this is the problem.
I donated some stuff.
Did you really? So this is the argument that some people have based on limited amount of information. So when a lot of people hear free store, they're like, I work for my stuff. You're going to go get free stuff? I had to work for my stuff. Well, during our interview, he talked about a young man who came in there to get clothes for a job interview. He needed that self-esteem. He needed that boost in self-confidence. He didn't want to go in there with tattered clothes. So, of course, there's always going to be people that just want to take advantage of some of the free stuff that's offered.
But I feel like the risk doesn't outweigh the benefit. The amount of people that you're touching by having a store like this is far beyond those that are going to look down on it, in my opinion. I mean, for example, the clothes situation. At the University of Alabama, we have a pantry of sorts where you can go and rent out tuxedos for job interviews, for the career fair that we have, to take photos. They have a spot where you can take photos, and not everyone uses that resource. And of course, the school is putting money into it to buy the suits of different sizes, of colors, and different things that they need, and workers. But the students we're all at this college knowing we're all fighting to get somewhere together. We're we're all struggling together. It might not be the same struggle, but we're all just trying to get somewhere. And I think that a lot of the times when you're so, well, I don't do this and I don't do that, you forget that, well, your neighbor might. Your children might, your grandparents might. They might need that resource, and I know deep down that you don't want them to lose that resource when you care about them. You're just not thinking that far in advance, I guess. That's the number one thing our politicians are doing wrong, is they're not keeping their constituents informed. And keeping people uninformed is how you maintain negative power. They keep doing this and they keep doing that, and you only see them when they run for election, because if they don't tell you what's going on, then you can't get upset. You can't know how they're hurting you, and that's not okay. If I make a mistake and I post a mistake, I want you to feel you can come tell me, and I'll do what I can to fix or fix the mistake that I made. That's the whole point of this relationship that I want people to have with me.
I love the way AOC approaches that. I mean, it seems like she's constantly kind of breaking things down. Like she pulls back the curtain and she's like, all right, this is what happened on the floor today. And like, she'll just kind of walk you through it because
and I
you
feel
don't
like
know.
my district, that they want to know stuff. Though not everybody, I understand not everybody cares that much about politics, but those who do care will sit down and genuinely watch the video. They may not comment, they may not say anything, but they are going to take away what I'm learning or what I'm saying as a learning situation. I want them to be aware of what's happening. There's so many, like I said, politics isn't scary. It's just scary because you don't know. It's the unknown that you're afraid of.
Yeah, and I really want to reach people that are disillusioned, that feel like, I mean, because you look at the voter turnout, it is so low. Not a lot of people are voting, and I think they just feel like, what's the point?
Yes, a lot of disheartening. And I actually had a conversation with somebody who's helping me campaign. He said that you need to do what you can to be that reason or that motivation for people to come out, because I fully understand you. I know where you're coming from. I know where your heart is. But you as a candidate need to do what you can to make sure that they feel that they can come out and vote, because people won't come out and vote if they don't see hope. They don't see a chance for winning or a chance for legitimate change. You've got to do what you can to make those people feel this way and then actually do it. You can't just be all word and not actually get out there and do changes. And
well, they need to empower you.
Yes.
To take this next step to...
It's a back and forth. They empower me to get out and do what I do, but I've got to reassure them that I'm not all talk and not game.
And if they don't show up at the ballot box and vote for you, then you're not going to be able to take that next step. I mean, you can still listen to them and be, there for them, but you're not going to take that legislative step.
I've talked a lot about different things that I want to do, not even policy related, because I know when I first get in, I don't know what it's going to look like at the very first. But there are things on a smaller level that I can do. I just can't do right now because the people who are above me right now won't listen to me. And these are legitimate changes that are easy changes and things that I think would be good for the community. But they won't listen to me now. That's the issue. And if I get this position, then they might be more willing to meet up and actually consider what I'm telling them and what I think could be beneficial to the city.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the whole obtaining enough power to make a real difference instead of just complaining and whining.
And what ripple effect that would have just for the example you're going to set as being a woman, a minority, a young person. What a spark.
I mean, that's why my slogan, let's make history, or let's make Alabama history together, is as serious as it is. I fully believe that if I win, that just shows that our community is ready for change and that people would be more willing to come and invest in us. They'll see she's doing this, they're thriving, the education's going up, the community's bringing in a little bit more money, that then more people are going to want to come here. And Chambers and Lee County specifically, they already have such a negative connotation. And I'm not making this up. When I go to college and I tell people, oh, I'm from Chambers County, they're like, oh, Chambers County? Isn't that next to Lee County? That is the reaction I get every single time, unless you're from that area. And that's disheartening because I grew up here. We're not all like that. And not even the people who are like that. There's so much more to them than just that negative connotation we have. And I see so much potential for my counties. That's why I want to win. I want to win and do what I can.
I love it. Well, real quick, just for context,
yes.
Are we saying that Lee County is more affluent than Chambers County? And that maybe Lee County looks down on Chambers County, or what's the rift there?
Lee County has Auburn. So if I tell people I'm from Chambers County, they might not know that county. But then when I went to school, I would say, oh, well, I'm from the Auburn area, because that is the closest part in Alabama for people to recognize, especially at least Chambers. We don't have a big city. We don't have a big college in my community. So I would tell people, oh, I'm from the Auburn-ish area. And they'd be like, oh, where specifically? If they know Auburn, then I'll tell them I'm from this. Or that's how that usually goes.
Yeah.
So not that they have anything more or less. It's just they have bigger cities in it, so they're a little bit more known than Chambers County.
Gotcha. All right. So being the voice of all in your district, is there anybody that doesn't include?
I mean, I want to listen to everybody. So even the people who've come up to me and said mean, nasty things while running, that, like, once they get over the you know, you're a this, a this, a this, but I want to see this. That's the part I can work with, but I want to see this change. So even when I talk to somebody who's very mean to me or very aggressive, usually by the end of the conversation, they say what the real issue is, and then I can take that and go home and look into that for them.
Have you experienced a lot of nastiness? And I mean,
I'm a Democrat running for a Republican seat. Yes. I'm not going to lie. Yes.
Well, so this is what I see. So I have talked to active military personnel. I've talked to military veterans that are conservative, that feel that Democrats hate America. They hate our democracy. And I'm like, well, I've got a neighbor who's a Democrat, who's a Marine veteran. Met one of the most patriotic guys I know. He 100% loves this country.
You can't measure patriotism on your own scale. Everybody has their own scale. They're all different. There are some things that, for example, I believe there are some things that we can mutually agree are completely unpatriotic. But then again, we might disagree on whether or not that thing that they did was actually what we say it is. So, like, for example, people love to cry terrorism all the time. But nowadays, we can't even agree on what terrorism is. And it has a definition. We've already defined terrorism. So, I mean, I would consider certain acts of terrorism unconstitutional. That's not patriotic if you're doing certain things. But like I said, somebody else might say, well, I think that they're just this, and this. But if we have clearly defined terms, then that's where I work from.
Yeah. And just, I don't know. It's just so crazy that you've got to kind of get past your party affiliation because you just have zero credibility as soon as that you're identified as a Democrat.
That's why whenever I meet somebody, I don't label them. I try very hard not to. And that's something I actually had to learn in college because, you meet the diversity of people and you never know who you're talking to. You never know what they want to go by, what they want to identify as. And that same thing goes for a political party. I'm working on it. Just because you say one thing doesn't mean you swing a certain way. And I respect that.
Yeah.
So it's until you tell me what you are, I try not to assume, or until you come up and yell at me something, and then I'll know then I'll know which way you are.
Right.
That's I've always been that way, kind of though.
Yeah. At the town hall on Wednesday, were there Republicans there voicing concerns about?
I think so.
Serious issues?
Some of the questions that were asked, I think so. They may not have spoke up because we were both Democratic and it was a Democratic town hall, so there might not have been as many. And I can't hard confirm if all those people who asked questions were Democrats or Republican. I didn't go up and ask. Nothing bad happened, and I don't think we got any bad reactions. Everybody left happy based on what I could tell, or in a positive light.
Do you recall anything from that event that maybe was a common theme of concerns people had?
Well, I will say this. For people, I don't know anything really off the top of my head. I had talked to a couple people after the fact, or a couple people have come up to me and talked to me. But if you're genuinely interested, it's live, so they could also go watch if people are curious. Yeah. So just the general stuff. He's going for a federal position. I'm going for a state. So our jobs, which I need people to understand, our jobs are not the same. I cannot do certain federal things. I can do state things.
Yeah, well, it's like somebody asked Akari, we've already talked about it. They were talking about the minimum wage. Mm-hmm. And he's like,
that is something I can fix.
Yeah, that's more your territory.
That is something I can do. We write the laws. We write the Alabama Constitution, which hasn't been rewritten since, 1901 or something. We can change that. So that is something I can do. The federal has set the 725. That is their choice. But as an Alabama representative, I can change that. Other states have different minimum wages. So you're struggled for only making 10 an hour and you've been making 10 for 10 years. That is an issue that I can change and I want to change.
Well, I think it's really important too to have a representative that really acts, speaks, votes, represents the majority of their district and not, the people mainly that maybe donated the most to their campaign. That was a question that somebody, hit Dakari with last night. They were like, you seem like, you really got it in here. You're a good person. But she, I guess, has seen over the course of her lifetime some very well-intentioned politicians get led down a path of big money, big pharma, big whatever, big tech.
I think when one of my family friends, I told you, the person who primarily speaks Spanish, when I told her I wanted to do politics and I was going to college for political science, the first thing she told me was, well, I don't want you to become a liar. Because that's her, that was her perceived perception of what this job looks like. And I think if you know going into something that people already view your job this way and you fall down that rabbit hole, I mean, I can't fix that. But as a representative, I know what's going on. I know how people feel about it. So I can do what I can to stop that. For example, a lot of people have come to me and tell me that they've been getting robocalls for the election. A bunch of the Republican candidates have been sending like robocalls, and they despised adamantly how much they hated that. Well, I'm not going to call y'all then. Y'all made it very clear you do not like those phone calls, then I'm going to do what I can not to do that. Because why would I want to upset you further if you've made this adamant that you don't like it, and now you're not voting because they've upset you? Over something as small as, if you wanted to talk, go knock on the door. They can come to an event, or you could shoot a text as opposed to a phone call. It's just little changes like that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some policy.
Okay.
All right, so I know number one on your list is teachers. Mm-hmm. You want to kind of talk about the Choose Act and public school funding?
Sure. So, as someone who's 21, of course, that means I just got out of the school system myself, and I've been public school. I did Head Start, pre-K, you name it, all of it, all the schooling possible. And my best friends are going to college to be teachers. And I've been in classrooms where I've watched teachers get mistreated. And I hear all the teachers in my community talk about how tired they are. They're not getting paid enough. They can't afford the things that they want to do with their students. Or it has to come out of their own pocket, but their husband isn't making enough to support them doing certain activities with people. And this isn't a new issue. This has been an issue forever. And plenty of people have been making empty promises about this. And I personally feel very passionate, like, okay, I'm very tired of this. And I'm a victim of it. All the people in my generation were victims of the system that we've got that's not working. And, you've got students, and nowadays students are even more misbehaved. That has been the number one thing I have heard, is that I can't handle my classroom alone anymore. The behavior has gotten to this point. I can't do this anymore. And we cannot start losing teachers. They make us. I would not be me if I didn't have my teachers who inspired me, who pushed me, who taught me what I know. And I'm very passionate about this. Like, I want them to get the resources they need. And, with the Choose Act and some of the people who fully support the Choose Act, I wonder how many people know exactly where that money is coming from. Like, the money is coming from the Educational Trust Fund. That is where all school money comes from. And that money is used to pay teachers. It's used to pay utilities. It's used to be invested into students. And you're taking away that money to invest it into people who chose themselves to go to a private school. Some of the people who are using Choose Act money were already enrolled in the private school. They could already afford it, but why would you not take the cash help if you can? Because you're already in it. And I don't know. I feel like when the government starts funding private schools, and they're no longer private. And they're not doing what they were designed to do. I fully support having private schools, and I want parents to be able to choose where their kids go. But at what cost? There's more people in public schools. You chose to pull your student out of a public school to go to a private school. And if it's, I can also get behind certain reasons, if you pulled because they need more one-on-one educational learning, then why has Alabama not built something for that? My student is struggling in the public school. We need to advance further. Okay, let's build a program specifically for that. Or for the special needs children. I've talked with a bunch of parents who have kids who need special requirements, right? So they choose to homeschool, and they can't go to public, and the private school might not take them because they don't have the resources, and they would apply for the Choose Act and they get the $2,000, but it only covers so much for them, or they can only do so much. And why don't we have something specifically dedicated to that? Our system, we have special needs everywhere. They're not new. Why have we not built something in place to protect them and that they can grow and have the education they need? And soon we might lose even more resources for the special needs community. Those are just some of the things I'm really passionate about. And like, I'm not a victim. A lot of people have been very apprehensive saying, oh, well, you don't want the parents to really choose. I know people who applied for the Choose Act, got the money, and then still couldn't go to the school they wanted to go to. So it's not choosing anything. They have a list of schools they can go to. They couldn't go to that school, or even with the $7,000 that they got, they couldn't afford to go still. So it's not helping as many people as people think it is. And there are more people who need our public schools. And the number one complaint they get is our public schools aren't doing enough. They're just, the education's just not as good as a private school. The teachers aren't as into it as a private school. But we're not investing enough into our schools, and if you feel so passionately about that, we have way more public schools than private schools, and if you feel this way, then instead of taking money away to fix that problem, we need to figure out how we can reallocate the money towards the resources we need. One of the things I remember in high school specifically was textbooks. I had I had talked to some of the principals and the counselors and people who had a little bit more power about why we didn't have new books. They're making us read these books. I'm not opposed to that. We should be reading our textbooks, our history books, missing pages, can't read the words, falling apart, crumbling. And where's this money going then? Why are we not being more transparent about that? I adamantly want new books. I don't need this or I don't need that. I want a book. Like, stop putting in smart boards if you're making us read mangled books. And those are just simple things that I feel like if you are of an older generation, you might not know that that's what your students are needing. And I was there. I know that's what we need. And that's one reason I'm really passionate. And I feel I could do very good at working with our school boards at getting more and better allocating our money and resources and things.
I wonder, do any of these aspiring teachers, are they expressing concerns about, the dismantling of the Department of Education?
Yes, I hear that all the time. I mean, I don't think it's a good thing. As I stated earlier, knowledge is power. So if with the dismantling of the Department of Education, the state could then decide, well, you know what, let's pull all public funding. Let's just put all our money into private schools. And there's no Department of Education to hold them accountable anymore. Then what are we going to do? We're going to be stuck in a situation. They're not holding for specifically Alabama, I know the Department of Education, they were most influential at making sure that money was spent evenly amongst the different diversity since, as our history shows, we've had a problem with that in the past. If we get rid of the DOJ, or the Department of Education, there's nothing holding us accountable anymore. And that right there is scaring teachers a lot. They already feel sometimes that, especially with like the DEI cuts and things, they already feel like they can't talk about certain things. Well, then what happens if they don't teach what they are being demanded to teach? What happens to their pay then? And they've spent their whole lives doing this and doing what they love. And I've seen a lot of fear, but I think in my specific region, the most fear I've seen has been with the effects of the Choose Act going in and how it's directly affecting the teachers and different things.
Do you think, this is kind of a bunny trail thing, but do you feel qualified as a minority woman to explain to our audience why DEI is important?
Well, actually, I feel like DEI is such a wide topic. I will give you some examples of how I feel like DEI is directly affecting my community.
Yes. Perfect.
So when I was in college, they believe Donald Trump was elected, and then afterwards he made the DEI cuts. So I directly watched it happen. I remember the year before when we had DEI and the year when we didn't have DEI, and you could feel it. I don't know how else to explain other than the atmosphere, the air was different. The University of Alabama is a PWI, so when you go there, you already know that there might not be as many minorities or a diversity. That's you go into it knowing. But I remember the year when we lost DEI, a lot of those clubs that we had, like the things that made UA what it is, the fun, the flavor, the uniqueness, the reason that pulled people there, I had friends leave. the University of Alabama to go to an HBCU instead because they didn't want to lose a part of who they were and they didn't feel safe or comfortable anymore. and I don't know if people realize that's what happened because they weren't there at the time, but that's something that DEI directly affected. It was not even just the black kids or the minority kids. The white kids felt it too. They couldn't go to hang out at certain parties, or they couldn't go to events that were being hosted anymore with their friends because of these cuts. And they may have supported it at first, but then after seeing like, well, my guy who's in my fraternity, his fraternity, or let's say like my roommate, his fraternity longer has nowhere to meet, or they don't have the funding. His fraternity is going to disappear soon. What is he supposed to do? Like, his bros are leaving, and it was really, that was the biggest thing I saw. And I remember too, when DEI hit, that people don't realize that rural communities are also underneath the DEI. Mm-hmm. So when they cut DEI funding, so you've got your black scholars, or your Hispanic, or your Asian, your female, all those scholarships that were left, so were the rural community scholarships. I have a friend who, he was black, but he didn't get a black scholarship. He got a rural community scholarship from one of the Alabama cities. He was from a farm town, and they awarded him this scholarship, and he had been informed that he was the last person to ever receive that scholarship.
Nobody else was going to be.
No, because it was, so what University of Alabama did is they held true to the scholarships they had already given. So if you had received a 4-year scholarship, you got to keep it, but you're the last one. It's gone now. And I don't even think I realized at the time that meant rural scholarships were going as well. And as I've stated, those rural scholarships aren't going to just black students. They're going to white students, poor students. Like, I could have applied for those rural scholarships. Your child in my community could have applied because you live in a rural area, and that's gone too. So it's just something people don't realize. There's so much that DEI touches, and if you're not sure, you need to be very sure before you start casting stones and saying how bad and negative DEI is, that you're not also qualified in some way under DEI.
Well, I think the biggest stone that I see cast is that DEI is a way that a person is maybe given a position, assigned a position, instead of, I think the opponents of it say that it is a program that doesn't ensure the best qualified person gets the job.
Well, and what I say to that is, the only reason you think they're not the best qualified is because they haven't been given the opportunity to show that they are the best qualified. When you have certain things, DEI things that are set in place, it's so that those people who might not have the money or the resources can gain those money resources and just show you how qualified they really are. You may think that, oh, I didn't get this because, oh, he just got a scholarship because he's black. No, he got this scholarship because he's black, has a 4.0, has all this in his school, or he did all these extracurriculars. He helped all these people. He needed this. And when he goes to college, gets his degree, he goes out and does amazing things and becomes a millionaire, making building generational wealth. He didn't have those opportunities. So you only assume that they're this way because you don't know.
That's a big part of it. I can remember being...
It's just misinformation.
Yeah.
Like DEI, for example, it includes women, and women don't know that they fall under DEI. So when you go and you vote and you spout all these nonsense things about, well, let's remove this, and this, because you think, well, I'm a white woman, that doesn't apply to me. It does. It does.
My thing is that a lot of these folks that oppose DEI feel like we're removed from it. Like we've moved past the racism. We've moved past the sexism. We've moved past the misogyny. And I'm like, no, the hell we haven't. I mean, it's still very much alive and well.
As I've stated, like, a lot of the people who would say nasty racist things to me, or then they'd get, they finally get to the point they were trying to make at the beginning. If they had known me, I don't feel like they would, they would feel differently about me. Or I've had I'll use this for example. I'll use my religion. As a Christian and in school, I feel like I've always been someone that people could come to. And I've had students, now that I've graduated high school, I've had people come to me and go, I know, I'm just wanted to let you know, like, I haven't seen you in so long, but I found God. And it wasn't, they saw that they could see that I was a real Christian and they liked the way that I am. And I would always pray for them, and they tried it. They just tried it out on a whim. And then they'd come back later and tell me, you inspired me to do this. I wasn't going for that. We were just in yearbook together,
Yeah.
But they could just That's the type of exposure I'm talking about. When you don't force something on someone and they can see it in you, then they're more likely to want to test it out themselves later on. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
And that you don't have like, you know, an alternative motive. You know, you're not trying to use them to gain something. Like,
No.
you're just there to listen or...
And then when they come to me with a question, give them a genuine answer.
Yeah.
Not try and be biased, not try and cast stones. Just tell them how I think it is.
Well, what else do you want to accomplish after you win? I know you want to really bring in some much needed support to the rural communities in your district.
This sounds
What's
kind
needed
of
there?
cliche, but I really want to change that narrative that we have about our communities. I'm hopeful that when I win, that it's definitely going to make some coverage. Like, if I win, I'm getting coverage, and I want to push as much as I humanly possibly can in that coverage. That we're ready. Come to us. Visit us. We've got this. We've got these restaurants. We've got this place you can stay. We've got these activities. We are building ourselves up. We're getting ready for change. Come to us. I'm hoping with that, rush, we can get more publicity. That is something I'm hoping I can bring when I win. It's just publicity, because that's the best way to bring in money, bring in bring in more people, bring in resources.
We've talked a lot about your age on this podcast, but I think that's probably the best, or one of the best selling points of your age, is just the publicity it's going.
Make Alabama history. I'm saying that for a reason. When I win, we are going to get coverage, and I want my city to be ready for it. I think we are. I think we're there, and we deserve this. This is our time to shine and show people, Lee and Chambers County, we're not what you thought we were. We're better. We're different. We're unique. We've got all this potential. Come to us. Invest in us.
Yeah, and that's just going to empower you.
Let's get out there and keep going.
Yes. And also, bring light to where there has only been darkness, or where nobody's gotten a chance to feel like they had their voice heard, or that anybody was ever going to care about what's important to them. So cool. Well, we've talked about jobs. I know jobs is a big thing in, your world. I mean, you've got a lot of friends that are job hunting.
Older generations that are already in poor paying jobs.
And working 2 or 3 jobs.
Correct. And then not having anywhere to put their kids. So they got to bring the kid to work. And then the kids, they're doing what they can, sitting in the back. I've seen it all.
And what I think people should understand in terms of an exposure standpoint is like all the things we've talked about policy-wise. So you pay teachers more. That's going to attract more talent. I think we all need to be motivated. I mean, life is hard.
And I've heard too, some people say, well, our teachers are already making, the teacher already makes this much. Why do we need to pay them more? Well, if you're against paying them more, we can at least pay for the resources they're using for their classroom. Why can't we pay for the pencils and pens that they have to teach?
Yeah.
Why are they paying for that if you believe they don't need more? It's the little things.
Well, people, they had the CEO of GoFundMe on the Today Show the other day. And he was talking about, so that's been reserved for people that, have a tornado that blows down their house. Or, they've got a specific individual in their family who maybe needs a medical procedure or something like that. But you've got people on there right now that are starting GoFundMes because they can't pay their rent. They can't pay their light bill. They can't afford groceries. He's like, the diversity among, the people that are using our platform to raise money is like for small everyday stuff, so they can have gas to put in their car to get to work.
Things you would consider to be general, basic.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's got to eat. They all got to sleep somewhere. They all got to live and breathe oxygen. Why are we making it difficult for them to do that, the bare minimum?
And there's a lot of research around, like, as you mentioned, like childcare. There is, what is it? New Mexico is about to, it seems like they're on the cusp of leading the charge with providing universal childcare.
Okay.
There's a lot of research about the ROI that brings, But going back to the teachers, if they're not stressed, so very little productivity, this is where the ROI comes in. It's that the productivity can't happen or is very limited by stress and anxiety. So if you're worried about taking food off your table so that you can put pencils and paper in the classroom, that's not going to help you be the best teacher you can be.
And I feel like, too, a lot of people forget that that's the real originator of crime. When you can't provide for people, you've got to resort to other, you've got to go do other things to do what you've got to do. And when we keep taking away healthcare, we keep taking away SNAP, EBT, we, don't pay people more, they don't have any other option, but they've got to make sure their kids have what they've got to have. We're already not supporting them as a state for, child care and things, and then they got to bring the kid along. They don't want that to be the case, but they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I just don't think we should wait until anybody should wait until it happens to them before they give a crap.
Correct. Yes.
And that's what seems to be the case. Is like, unless you've experienced it, it's like all these people I was telling you about, like from my hometown, my Facebook friends are like, because I'll make statements like, this has been a dumpster fire every year. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's been great. And I'm like, if it's been great, then you need to get outside your bubble. You don't know what's going on. And it really is.
It's that complacency I was talking about I think I talked about recently, is that people get comfortable and they think that, well, if it's not happening to me, then the world's just okay. And, I don't want to care about this, that, and another because, well, I'm fine. Just because you're fine doesn't, we can't, especially as Christians, we can't just stop caring about other people. The whole point of our Christianity is to outreach and be the voice, to be the outlet for Jesus and God. And he wouldn't come up to earth and then say, you know what? No, you're poor. You don't need my fish and my bread.
100%. I mean, I see that point being made by way more Democrats than I do Republicans. God's not going to God's not going to demand to see your health insurance card before he heals you.
Correct. He's just going to heal you. And I understand too, and that's the thing where I feel like I'm uniquely qualified. I understand that I have people in my district who feel the opposite of that. I'm not wanting to jump into these things full force. I hear you. I understand. Accountability is real. I get it. But we can at least help people get back up onto their feet. I know you wouldn't be opposed to some of the more specific, some of the things that could help your kids. I mean, you never know when their children could be in that situation and just not saying anything to their parents for fear of retribution. I know a couple of my classmates in college who, I think because to be able to qualify for SNAP, you have to work 20 hours as a college student. So they're working 2 jobs, right? Paying their apartment bill, their house bill, and they applied for food, EBT, because they just couldn't afford to eat, and they realized they were not eating, and you can't function without food.
Right.
But they didn't tell their parents because they knew how their parents felt about it. And when they go to their parents to ask for financial help, the parents are like, well, you're out there, you're an adult now, you've got it. And that's disheartening. Like, your own children are needing these resources and you don't know, and you're refusing to even acknowledge that this is a possibility that your kids could be on a program like this.
So are they embarrassed by these programs?
I don't think it's an embarrassment thing because we've talked about it. It's just they know that they won't be accepted. I don't know. I hate to say accepted either. It's just they're getting judged for it.
Yeah.
And their parents already made it very clear they weren't going to help anymore. And they they want to survive. And it's the same with my friends who are like single mothers now. I've got people I went to school with who are now single mothers, kicked out of the home and they're on WIC. But they can't, the parents won't even talk to them anymore. So the parents are out here spewing, oh, I hate this, I hate that. Their kid is over here using WIC to buy baby formula for their kids, and it's directly affecting them. But they won't take the time out of their day to go, wait, I haven't checked in on my kids. Let me see if they need this. Or a grandparent, like at the nursing homes. People don't even realize healthcare hurts in nursing homes. And I know you've got relatives in nursing homes that you might not realize are on Medicaid or Medicare. You might not realize that's what's happening until it's too late and they're being kicked out of their bed or the nursing home shutting down because they can't afford to stay open anymore. What are you going to do with your grandma and your grandpa now? You don't have time to fit them in your schedule and they need on-the-clock care.
And that's so expensive.
It is. One person told me too recently that a lot of the elder community, instead of placing that financial burden on the family, they'd rather take their own life. They don't want to go home when they know that their family can't support them, or they can't move somewhere else because it'd be way too much money. And they know their family would do it and make the sacrifice, but they don't want their family to make the sacrifice, so they'd rather end their life. Think about that for a moment.
It's so sad.
It is, and that's the reality of where we could be if we don't start opening our hearts just a little bit more, being a little bit open.
Gosh, that's great.
Hey, fellow Blue Dots, we would love for you to connect with us on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Raised Red Living Blue. Okay, back to the episode.
All right, so welcome back, everybody. We're going to finish up with Miss Hazel Floyd. I think this has been a really powerful interview. We've got some really powerful sound bites that I think will really resonate with people on a broad scale. Just hearing your heart, your motivation for doing this, the sacrifices that you're really making to do this, I think are big. I mean, you're in a unique situation right now because you're not a mom, you are a younger person, and so you've got time to get out and about and do all these things. But I can remember when I was your age, I was just, concerned about having a good time.
I mean, I'm still concerned about that too, though.
Yeah. But
just not to that extent. I understand. I feel like that's sort of kind of also influenced why I decided to run. I know that this is a future life that I want to have, and I know that I'll be a mother one day. I don't know if it'll be through adoption or what, but now like I said, I've got the time now. I am available now. There's nothing holding me back right now. I don't have all these hard life obligations at this moment, so I can dedicate myself 100% to my community, or maybe not 80%, because you got to have that healthy work-life balance. Yeah. But I can dedicate so much more time than other candidates might, just because I have this availability. I have the mobility. I'm young, I'm youthful, I'm out there. I told somebody too recently, I can do a 5K. I went and walked for breast cancer. I can do that. I'm young enough to move around a lot and jump around. I go dancing. I do line dancing with people. I love to do all those things. And I can, because I have the youthfulness about me and the capability, the time, availability. I'm not being held back by other obstacles. I'm in a unique position.
And you're a blank slate. You are completely clean canvas, untainted, open mind, fresh perspective. And I just think, what more could you ask for?
I want to make clear too, I don't think that's going to change once I get in politics.
Yeah.
I'll share this story. Why not?
Okay.
When I was in college, right, I was a political science and a business major at first. And I changed from business to philosophy purely because I like the idea of understanding why people think the way they think. The thought of philosophy is so far beyond just the general stereotype, if you got a philosophy degree, you're not doing anything. Well, I decided to double major because I like that philosophy requires me to think outside my box. I wouldn't be able to understand and comprehend people as well as you can without reading about how these philosophers might look at this, or how did a philosopher get from here to here. I don't know, I fell in love with it, learning about people, learning you think this way. I guess that's probably where my light comes from too, a lot with the racism I face. What are you really trying to get at me with? You're saying this to my face, you have this hard exterior, but there's something deeper in there that I know is in there. And I feel like philosophy is something that can sort of tap into that and ask, what's really going on? How can I better help you?
Yeah, because at the root of it, it's fear, it's a misunderstanding.
Correct.
It's a lack of education or exposure. I mean, it's just something they haven't experienced. It's
and
not
that's why I feel like
threat.
When I win, I'll remain true to who I am, because I already have that built in. I've had that built in, and I think I didn't realize it at the time, but now looking back, I knew that was more me than the more business, cutthroat, this, that, and another. And I want to make clear too that I can cutthroat. I can do what I need to do to get what we need for my community. I've debated and I've argued and I fought for all kinds of different things on a smaller scale than this, but I've been fighting my whole life, and I'm not going to stop just because it gets hard or because somebody says, well, I'm done talking to you today. Well, you're done today. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of lobbying. I don't know if we talked about this.
No, we haven't.
I've lobbied before in Montgomery. I've talked to some of the senators and representatives to get HB 152 passed, so the tax reduction on menstrual products, hygiene, formula, clothing. I talked to people and I said, hey, let's push this through. We need this. And I met, when you go talk to them, of course, they're not all nice. Some of them were mean. Some of them lied about when we were supposed to be meeting. Some of them were kind of, I know. Some of them were apprehensive about it. And that's just part of, I think too, then I realized like, I'm definitely doing this because I wouldn't do this to somebody if we had a scheduled time. I'm going to do what I can. That's what I want to be. And I've already started doing that. I've done the lobbying. I've talked to people. I know how it goes. And look, we got it passed. So, I mean, if that doesn't show you some of my skill.
I think you're the total package. All right. So how can we help you? Do you have like some big fundraising goals that need to be met? Do you need volunteers? If somebody's listening out there, even if they're in California or wherever, how can they support you?
So, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for being interested. Thank you for being interested in donating or volunteering anything. And I will say, Wednesday I announced that my campaign page or my campaign website launched. So it's the hazelfloydcollective.com. It has a spot where you can contact us. So you can, if you wanted to volunteer and get out there or see me at an event, you can fill it out. Give me your information, and then I'll have it on my document. So when I, start going door to door, or if I want to have you, or you want to offer a service, it'll be there for me. And then at the very right when you click in, if you scroll, I have a donate button. So I do all my donations through ActBlue, or if you live locally or you want to travel, I can do checks, and I believe I can do cash, but with pretty much ActBlue and checks. And yeah, monetary donations. I know a lot of people are really worried about money in politics. So I've tried to do everything I can to stay as clean as humanly possible money-wise. And I see every donation that comes through. I touch all of it. I personally document all of it so that I know exactly what's going on. I write everything out myself. And I mean, I can tell you my smallest donation was $3, and I'm going to use those $3. So.
Well, that's a good point I think to make too, is that, like those small donations, a lot of times, I mean, of course they add up, but they're important.
They are, yes. I couldn't do or be half of who I am without those donations. And I think that just shows how far my reach has gone. Since I think at the beginning of my campaign, a lot of the people who donated were a little bit more, they were in my area. They were more affluent. They're like, I like you, let's do this. But now as I've been going and I've got my social media running, I'm getting donations from New Jersey, New York, California. Those people who came to see me from Georgia. And they've just found me and they're like, oh, I like this message. I want to help you. And I mean, that shows you that I'm reaching people. People are listening. People are aware. And people are following, even if you don't know. So yes, donate. You can donate there. I also have Facebook and Instagram. It's the Hazel Floyd Collective. It's all concise. It is. It's all. You can even Google search my page or just type my name into Google and I'll pop up. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did. And you're all over the search results. But I love the collective is your brand. I mean, just that the community is your brand. It's not Hazel Floyd for district38.com. It's just, keeping that community initiative just like front and center in everything you do.
I feel like Join the Collective really symbolizes, it's a really good description of who I am as a person. I want to be used, religiously, like I want to be used by God, but as a representative, I want to be used for you, by you. I'm appointed by you. You fund me. You send me, like I've had people who send me like, hey, can you come to this event? Yes. You asked, I'll be there. Will you post this for my kid? Yes. You're selling this? I will post it for you. Of course I will. I'm an extension of you. So join the collective.
Yeah, and then I would just chime in here and let people know, because I don't think a lot of people, whether they don't know it or whether it just doesn't register with them, like supporting you on Facebook, like liking posts, sharing posts, following, commenting, just helping you grow this audience.
I get to see all the statistics and things, and my numbers look small. Like when you go to my page, I don't have that many followers, But then when I look at the insights, I'm getting like 10,000 views on stuff. And, like, they're coming from somewhere. So, follow, share, like, repost. I love it. And sometimes too, when the election time gets a lot closer, I'm hoping I can have things that you can put on your own campaign page. Like, you can add it to your little border on Facebook, or you can make your little icon, go vote or something. It's all about getting engagement, getting people excited to vote again, because that's what voting used to be. It used to be fun. You're going out and you're voting on change and a positive future, and it's, I want to bring that back.
Yeah, it used to be just such a big source of pride.
I remember the first time
Patriotism.
I voted. Yes, the first time I voted, I went with my dad, and he took pictures. He was so happy. It was all fun and smiles. And I don't think it was a presidential or anything. It was just a normal election, and it was fun. I liked it. I got to put my voice out there, and I felt like I was heard. And in today's time, that is the only way to be heard, is to get out and vote, especially my youth. Come on, we need representation.
Gosh, it's what we need. And
I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I know this.
I don't know. I think you've got a very broad appeal, and it's definitely what we need in politics right now. Because you talk about, like, your friends coming up to your family members going, I want you to become, because they know they know what type of person you are deep down. They don't want to see politics corrupt you and turn you into something.
Correct. And like, even the lady who who said, like, oh, you're just going to lie. I know deep down she was just worried for me. Yeah. She didn't mean it in a negative light. And like, now we talk politics whenever I see her, and she lets me come over all the time. And it's different.
Yeah. Well, Hazel Floyd, I've really enjoyed this conversation.
I have too.
It's been amazing. I think we're going to have some really good content to help your campaign and help drive awareness just of you, about you, who you are. I think that's all you did today, was just kind of open yourself up and show us who you were. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for Alabama. It's a great thing for your district, and I wish you the best. Let's give them the website one more time.
Oh yeah, it's thehazelfloydcollective.com, and that's HAZELFLOYD. The color and the band.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, thank you guys for supporting the show. Just like we were talking about how you can support Hazel, you can do the same with this show. Like, rate, leave us a review, all the things.
Subscribe.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it.
It really is helpful and helps us grow this audience. So appreciate y'all supporting us, and we'll see you back here real soon with another episode.
Politics of fear and hate are wrong. We love you and politics of compassion
But America,
and love are right.
we are not going